Our teacher, Rabbi Mendel Kaplan. Good morning, Rabbi Kaplan. How are you today?
Why, thank you, Martin, for those kind words. I'm grateful. And I consider it a privilege and a distinct honor to be able to teach Torah to you and to our many listeners online, as well as the many people who join us on Facebook. I have to tell you that teaching Torah on the internet has become, and on the radio, has become a great joy for me personally. And I've received over the years a tremendous amount of feedback. But sometimes it is the one-on-one encounters that become most meaningful. You know, I had something very special happen that I'm going to share with you, Martin, and I'll share with our listeners. I was at the city of Vaughan on Monday, and as I had mentioned, we lit the permanent menorah that has been established at the city hall. To the best of my knowledge, the only permanent menorah like this in the entire world, certainly outside of Israel, where we have a city hall that has established a menorah for posterity. It's really something special, and so I was there, and I was very passionate about it and very joyous about it and very thankful. And when I finished lighting the menorah, one of the journalists who was there walked over to me, and he whispered something to me like, "Thank you so much for the word you said. I found that so inspiring." So I said, "Well, thank you for sharing that." And I didn't think much of it. But later on, when we went into the area, the city hall area inside the meeting room, and there were hundreds of people, Baruch Hashem, and the city had sponsored the holiday refreshments, and there was entertainment. We even made a minyan for mincha in the hallway, maybe the first minyan for mincha in City Hall. I'm not sure if that's ever happened before. I have tried to make a minyan in City Hall before, but never succeeded, and this time it actually happened. So. And I have my tefillin, of course, and I was putting on tefillin with some people. And then I was putting on tefillin with a bylaw officer who was in full uniform and a very tall fellow. And the same journalist or reporter walked over to me, and he said to me, "Can I speak to you for a moment?" And I said to my wife, "Of course." And he said, "Do you recognize me?" And I have to tell you, Martin, I did not recognize this fellow. And he said to me, I'm a photographer for a very prominent newspaper. I'm not going to mention the name online, it wouldn't be fair. And he said, "Do you remember that I took some pictures for you 18 years ago?" And when he mentioned the details, it kind of jogged my memory. And I said, "Well, I even remembered his name." I said, you're such and such. Like, I remembered his name. And I said, I remember that event very well. I had been, I think I was speaking downtown actually at some kind of demonstration for Israel. And he came over to me after and kind of gave me his card. And then I needed something photographed for a particular flyer we were making. And in those days, Martin, I really didn't have any funds at all. I couldn't even afford a photographer. So I called this fellow and I said, I'm trying to do a mitzvah. I'm trying to do something good. Would you be so kind as to maybe take a couple of pictures for me? Which he did very graciously. And now he came to me and he said we had had a conversation at the time. Now, I don't remember the conversation, but I'm presuming it was about the 7 Noahide laws, because whenever I meet people who are not Jewish, that is my topic of discussion, and that's what we're supposed to do. He said to me that the words you said, the ideas you shared, were so impactful. He said that your light continues to shine in me. Those were the words he used. He said, your light is shining in me. And he said, because of those words, I stopped drinking. And I stopped abusing substances, and I chose to get married, and I've built a family, and my whole life is different. And I've been meaning to thank you. He said, I've been playing this, fantasizing about this meeting and what I would say to you and how I would reach out to you. I said, I have a YouTube channel, and I teach Torah, and I'm on the radio. And he said, oh, yeah, I know. I've been following you quietly all along, but I finally now have the opportunity, face to face, just to say thank you. And the truth is, Martin, that as the Chovos HaLevavos, says, the Shara B'Tachon tells us, I don't get any credit for that per se. I mean, I just did what I'm supposed to do. And that's what we are all supposed to do. It's a gift from Hashem when you do the right thing and it actually resonates and makes a difference in somebody's life. So this is yet another little story in the string of amazing things that I have been privileged. Really, we say this b'chesed chinam, by God's grace.
Inspirational story.
It really is, it really is. Sometimes I think like, should I have the conversation with somebody? I'm kind of like, I'm perturbed. I'm not in the mood, and I push myself and I say, no, no, no. The Rebbe told us that every time we have an encounter with somebody, it should be used in a positive way, and I have to utilize this encounter to share words of Torah, words of God consciousness, and words of inspiration. And every once in a while, you get like regards. And I'm talking, Martin, 18 years later, and how many little things led up to that little encounter, which was so inspiring for me. I actually couldn't get over it. I thank this fellow profusely for sharing that story. And the reason I'm sharing it with you is certainly not to pat myself on the back or toot my own horn. Chas v'shalom. And I say that with seriousness. Heaven forfend, God forbid, that this should be about me as an individual. It is not. It is a little story that's about every one of us. It's a reminder that each and every one of us can make a difference in somebody else's life. Your light can shine in somebody else, because everybody has a neshama, a soul, and a soul is called the Ner Hashem, the candle or lamp of God. And as the Rebbe told a famous Israeli diplomat many, many years earlier, the Rebbe told him that he can't light the candle for you. You have to light the candle yourself. Because the fellow asked the Rebbe if the Rebbe had lit his candle, and the Rebbe said, no, I gave you the match. So we can give matches. We can give torches to people. Of course, they'll have to light their own candle. Everybody has to light their own candle. If you wouldn't be lighting your own candle, you would get no credit for doing the right thing. We are the ones who light our own candle. We are the ones who enable our own souls to glow. But there are people that are going to come across our path somewhere at some time who may have the privilege and the gift of handing us that match and handing us that torch or that lamp. And then we have to go ahead and light our candle so that our soul can radiate and glow. And this is the beautiful post-Hanukkah message that I guess I'm taking the opportunity to share with you. I have to tell you, Martin, I had prepared a Dvar Torah. I was going to teach you something about the last words in this week's Torah portion. And because you said what you said, you kind of you stimulated me to think in this direction. So that's why I'm sharing this story. And who knows, maybe this is exactly what was supposed to happen. This is the story I was supposed to share now. And hopefully one of our listeners, or many of our listeners, will be inspired to pass on the light. And the beautiful thing about kindling lights, as the Rebbe mentioned many times, and it's a profound thought, but it's a very simple thought. It's not a big teaching, but it's yet something that we have to reflect on a regular basis and be mindful of. When you light one candle with another, the first candle is not diminished in any way, shape, or form. You lose nothing by sharing light. You lose nothing by sharing inspiration and spiritual energy. You can only gain from it. You can only be further invigorated. You can only be further uplifted. You can only be further illuminated when you share with somebody else. So we should share. We should share words of Torah. We should have words of Torah to share, Martin. We should. If you don't study Torah on your own, how will you share words of Torah with others? And I want to take the opportunity also to mention that this Sunday is a very special day in the modern Hasidic calendar. We call it Didan Natzach, the day of spiritual victory. Victory in matters of holiness, in matters of Torah, matters of mitzvahs. The story was that there was a challenge to the Lubavitch movement, a challenge to the eternity of a Rebbe's life. You know, does a Rebbe die when his body and soul separate? And the answer was understood by the secular court of the superpower of our day, the United States Federal Court, understood no, that there's the concept of the Tzaddik's eternal life, and that the Tzaddik continues to live on through his Torah teachings and through his holy books, through his Sfarim. And that's why this is a day that we try to increase or expand our own personal libraries, to have more Sifrei Kodesh, to have more holy books, to study those holy books, to share the message of those holy books. And by building our own libraries and expanding and developing our own scrimmage of holiness, we make a contribution towards the future building of the Beit HaMikdash, in which the menorah is going to be lit. And when it is lit, Martin, in the future Beit HaMikdash, that's going to happen very, very speedily, Be'ezrat Hashem, in our days, the entire world is going to be bathed in its glow. And really every mitzvah is a candle, every mitzvah is a lamp, and every mitzvah sheds light. It's just that Some mitzvot do it more obviously and overtly. And of course, now that Hanukkah has passed us by, we have the opportunity once again to kindle. We couldn't do it last night, but tonight we can kindle the Ner Mitzvah with the Shabbat candles that are first and foremost the privilege of Jewish women and girls. But if there's no wives or daughters in the home, then it is the privilege of every single Yid to light Shabbat candles. And in the GTA, candle lighting for Shabbat Kodesh, Parshat Vayigash, Erev Heitevis is on at 4:35 p.m. 4:35 p.m. in the GTA. If you're listening to our radio broadcast in another place, please visit Chabad.org and find out when candle lighting is where you are. And the important thing is that each and every one of us should kindle our Shabbat candles, and we should kindle another soul. And hopefully, by passing on the light, we will speedily and in our days see our whole world illuminated with the light of Mashiach that will warm, that will uplift, and that will positively transform everything forever in the most wonderful way. May it be b'mheiro b'yameinu, speedily, and in our days. Amen. Shabbat Shalom.
Amen. Thank you so much, Rabbi Kaplan. Shabbat Shalom to you.
Shabbat Shalom to all of you. Besurot Tovot. Good Shabbos.